What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Show. We did it, David. We're on the right side.
I know.
We're slowly getting this, Dave. How's everybody doing? Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, episode 127. I'm Alex. David's still here. Hi, Dave.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Nothing new, really. Just living life.
I'm trying to catch up to you with the hair, and it seems like you're not cutting it either, and you're just trying to beat me. And
No, I got it trimmed.
You got it trimmed. I'm trying
Yeah.
not to. With my quest of getting it longer, we'll see. We're getting it every week. Going to try and get it down to the
It's gonna take a
shoulders
while.
Until Julie divorces me. So either one, we're going to figure that one out. I feel like that might happen. The divorce might happen first. She's been telling me how much she absolutely hates it.
If she smartens up.
Listen, I've been saying forever, if she wisens up and kicks me to the curb, then she would have been a smarter woman than I thought. But we'll find out. Anyway, how's everybody doing out there? We appreciate everyone that is watching on X, that's watching on Instagram, not Instagram, YouTube. What the fuck am I saying? Instagram. Watching on YouTube. I don't even think we can stream live on Instagram.
Were you just on Instagram?
Yeah, I was actually just like gandering.
That's why. Because
so, YouTube, X, we're happy you're there. Give us a subscription if you're on YouTube and spread the word there. Give us a like. That helps. Comment. All these things help. On X, give us a follow. We're on our quest for 100 over on YouTube. We gained one from last week. We're up to 68. And I want to give a shout out to somebody who left a comment on the Rob Noor video, and we appreciate it. At Nate G7204, found us through Rob Noor. Love the show. Has the notifications on now and is a fan of ours now. So we want to thank
there he is right there.
If you're watching, we appreciate that. There you go.
Right there.
Boom. Finally, notifications decided to work. Nate, what's up? Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And, anyone that we get, we are incredibly grateful to have anybody that's watching. So hello, Nate. We appreciate that. So we're going to jump in. We're going to have some fun. Like I said, quest to 100. We're at 68 now. X followers, we keep on losing. People hate us on X. We lost 3 more. We're down to 35, 95, but it is what it is. I'm still happy because we're still here. We're still doing our thing. Like the show. Go find us everywhere. Spread this word of mouth. It's the best way. If you tell people that you like the show and then we have a solid show, then that's the biggest way to do it. So find us. Just go search the Alex Cuesta Show there. I want to talk about last week's episode real quick. We had Matt Kadish on. And Matt is a savant in terms of like everything going on in Hollywood, and he's based as shit. He's the producer of the Salty Nerd podcast. He's been in the industry for I think he was saying like 12 years. He was over there doing work over in Hollywood and stuff. He lives in Vegas now, and Salty Nerd's awesome. Go give them a subscription as well. They are really cool. They're based as hell talking about their stuff. So we had fun talking about. What are you looking at, Dave?
No, I've just heard savant used in a way of someone who has impairment, except in one subject. So that's why I was looking it up.
Here's the thing.
I was like, just insult our guest.
No, because here's the thing. There's definitions and there's kind of like the colloquial use.
It's a second definition. Because I looked it up. I was like, did I remember that wrong?
There's 2 different ways of describing things. All right. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a damper because I just found this out. You just brought this up to me, Dave. And this is sad. A former guest of the show, Sean McBrady, he has tragically passed away. I'm going to put this up there. Adam Coleman. You brought it up through Libs of TikTok, but I found this one from Adam Coleman. He was a guest of our show. Sean was an absolute patriot. He was fighting in Maine to basically stop all the shit going on with kids, stop the tranting, stop all those things going on. Adam shares here, and Adam's also a former guest of the show. Can't believe Sean McBrady is no longer with us. He was one of the most supportive people you'd ever talk to, and a truly patriotic man. And 53 years old. And, rest in peace to Sean. I was saying to Dave, today we had a little bit of like a little minor issue where we had a guest, they canceled, and I was kind of scrambling for people to jump on. And I thought of actually texting Sean to see if he wanted to come on. So it's really sad to hear. Main source of truth was the podcast. There's still a lot of really good work on that podcast. A lot of things that he did to battle for his children over there, for the kids of Maine and the kids around the country. If you know Libs of TikTok, if you know Billboard Chris, if you know Moms for Liberty, all these people battling for kids, Sean was right there on the front lines with them. Yep. So rest in peace to Sean. You were awesome. You were, a fun guy to talk to, someone who I looked forward to working with again. And now that we're in the live format, I wanted to have him on live, but unfortunately, obviously that's not going to happen. So we pray for his family, for his friends, and hopefully someone in Maine could pick up his work. Because the greatest thing that you can do for Sean is to continue in Maine. Somebody needs to pick it up for him in Maine and to continue fighting and to not let the system. Now, I don't know. I have not seen the actual reason for his passing. I don't know what the circumstances were for the passing. I don't know what goes on with that. What the circumstances were for it. So I'm not going to speculate that. But it is just, a really unfortunate thing. So yeah, everyone reach out to, Sean's family if you know him, and definitely give him a, condolences that way. So, but this week's show, we're having an exciting show. We're having one of my friends from the past, an individual. We're going to bring him right on. He is a live streamer, creator, host of Soulspeak. He's on over on Twitch, and he is an aspiring writer. He's my man. He is Rheteriq.
There he is.
What's going on, man?
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. What's going on, brother? How's everything going?
Pretty good. I can't complain too much. Hello. Wow, it's been a while since I've been on a podcast like show.
It's exciting to have you on. I could say, and I tell people all the time that a lot of my formative years came from sophomore year. My formative times were just sitting in your living room. Whether it's SmackDown versus Raw, we're having I remember we've always debated politics, religion in my house, but getting into our chops, we talked about all the forbidden fruits that you're not supposed to talk about, and there was 10 of us in your house at all time, and I always tell the story of when the Jehovah's Witnesses came by, and we just invited them in and talked to them for
You were there for that?
I was there for that.
Oh, I gotta admit, I was pretty hungover when that happened. So I know there were people there. It's very blurry in my mind.
And it came to the point where they're we have to go. I think we were the first people ever to tell Jehovah's Witnesses to tell you guys, we can't stay. We're done talking.
We can't be here anymore.
The absolute only thing I remember from that interaction was him calling me the devil before storming out. I don't even remember what triggered it.
It's because they were not amongst allies. I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. So it's we butted heads. Ahmed was there, and Ahmed was talking about Islam and things like that, and they weren't happy about that. You are very read up on the Jewish faith and things like that, and you were speaking on that, and it was they weren't the ones preaching religion.
I was not posing a Jewish argument at that juncture. At that point, that is something I had abandoned. Monotheism has been long gone for me.
But
good time.
It was such a good time. So we're pumped to have you on. So you're on Twitch. Here, we're going to throw this up there. If you would like to go and follow Rheteriq over there, you could subscribe to him on Twitch, www.twitch.tv/Rheteriq, Rheteriq. And, it's just really cool to have you on, man. So I want to get right into this, and I want to have some fun because we are going to talk a whole bunch of politics. And let's see right here. Nate G jumping in with another comment. SmackDown versus Raw over WWE 2K. I agree with that.
100%.
Yes, 100%.
2K sucks.
The same thing with UFC Undisputed back on the 360. It's better than the newer UFC games.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. 100%. So Eric, when people are watching you, what can they see you stream? What are they typically watching you stream while you're over there?
Hold up. Can I just say?
Oh boy.
I remember, and I just headbutted my own microphone. That's good. That's a good sign of things to come here. I remember Dave when he was little. Now it looks like he could beat my ass, and it's a bit unnerving.
He does do boxing, so he could beat the shit out of me.
Jesus. I know it.
I mean, it was
my
always
microphone doesn't knock me out first.
It was always you with karate and stuff that you knew that you could head kick us all. Do you still do any martial arts?
I do not. I really want to. It's it's very difficult to balance time and money. When I have the money, I don't have the time. When I have the time, I don't have the money.
I hear that.
But I mean, realistically, if I had the wherewithal, I could practice in my backyard, like Step Brothers, in the garage or something.
Absolutely.
What were you saying though? My apologies.
Yeah, no. So if people are watching, on your Twitch. What games? What can they expect to see on your Twitch?
Oh boy. Well, so I'll tell you what, the reason I started streaming, or a big reason of it, aside from creative expression, was to get into philosophical and political discussion like this. Since 2020 hit, I haven't done Soulspeak in a while, and a lot of my content has been centered on gaming and absurd humor. We still do get into discussions every now and then, but it's more random. So mostly you're going to hear dirty jokes, see some games, heavy focus on action RPGs like Elden Ring and stuff.
Nice.
And some weird indie titles. And yeah, every now and then we'll talk politics for sure. We don't shy away from that. I'm a firm believer in talking about that stuff at the dinner table, like you mentioned before. I do feel like if we, and to speak on what I mentioned before about getting into streaming, one of the things that lit a fire under my ass for that was 2016. Those elections. That I'll never forget. A mutual, it's funny you brought up karate. I don't know how close you were with this individual. I'm not going to name drop them. But I know you knew them. We could talk about it after the show.
Yeah.
But we actually did martial arts together. We weren't like super close or anything, but this was a great example of when Trump was coming onto the scene and Clinton was on the scene and everyone was at each other's throats. I didn't realize how bad it was until in one day I got called a libtard and a Nazi within about a 7-hour period by different people, thankfully. At least there's that. And this one person who I somewhat grew up with unfriended me from Facebook, and I never heard from him again. That's how like deep that shit went from him, all because I said I was voting for Gary Johnson. Like, oh, that means you're a Trump supporter, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what?
So it's funny that you mentioned that because you're a libertarian, and that honestly, that makes sense that you were called a libtard and a Nazi in the same day, right? Because it's like, the thing is, it's like libertarianism is kind of, I'll let you talk about it, but it's definitely that like awkward middle ground in terms of politics in a lot of ways. If you're a sane libertarian, I'm going to put that out there because there's a difference between sane libertarians and who the libertarians just put up for president, but we can get into all that. But so let's jump in right away. We're going to talk about that. Let's get into the political parties because, that I think is always a topic. Now we have effectively a two-party system, right? And I have come on to this show. I think, Dave, I've said it on the show before. I've defended the two-party system. I think that it is quite literally the best system on the planet. If you look at any other representative republic democracy that is more of a percentage-wise, it's a fucking mess. Just look at Israel. Look at any of the other democracies that do percentage-wise. And what ends up happening anyway? In order to form a government, they have to form a coalition. Or otherwise, they have to reelect and reelect. We force those coalitions naturally here. And that's kind of my argument for it. Now, you have the Republicans, you have the Democrats, and then you always have, your libertarians are floating around 3% at their best. That was their best showing. You have your Green Party, you have, your commies are always hanging around there. So it's like you have some fringe parties, but it's generally two. Now, I see you making faces, Eric. Now, why I generally say that it kind of forces caucuses, right? What do a lot of your sane libertarians, they jump into the Republican Party, right? Your Ron and Rand Pauls, your Thomas Masseys, your individuals that, they know they have more in common. They're not Republicans, but they have more in common in terms of liberties with the right than they do with the left, who's insane for the most part. So where are you on the political parties? I know you're going to disagree with me.
So no, I mean that's actually a fair assessment. Now I never really thought about it, but yeah, when I run through the libertarians who switch sides, or the more prominent ones anyway, seem to go Republican. But I think that might have to do more so with I at least think libertarians tend to be more focused on economy than social issues, let's say. And Democrats seem to really be heavy on that. I mean, you do have the ones that are a little further left who want to institute like communism and stuff. Yeah. So that's more economically focused. But with Republicans, I mean, the Overton window in terms to the social fabric of the U.S. has largely shifted left, I would say. Like, for instance, gay marriage. So I'm gonna throw out there. You don't really see Republicans like rallying against that.
And we can also say Donald Trump even running as a Republican. That has shifted the Overton window. If he would have ran when he wanted to 20 years ago, whatever it was, he would have ran as a Democrat because he was a New York Clinton Democrat.
Yes, he was.
Things were very much that way. And the window has shifted to just kind of, in a lot of ways, sanity is more on the right. You know, there is your absolute fucking crazies on the right, right? But for the most part, as long as you are still down with the basic constitutional beliefs, you're going to caucus more with the right in a lot of ways.
Here's the problem. And I think it was Dave Smith who said this, who I certainly do not always see eye to eye with.
Dave Smith can kind of fuck off. You want to know why? I like Dave Smith. Dave Smith is the reason why we have a shitty fucking candidate for the Libertarian Party, because he was too much of a bitch to run. And I love Dave Smith. I think he's fantastic. I don't agree with him on everything, but the fact that he didn't run and we didn't get him and a Clint Russell ticket that would have probably taken 5%.
Ooh, honestly, I would not listen, Larry. I can't take anyone over my man Larry.
Larry Sharp's amazing. I've interviewed Larry Sharp on one of my shows.
I know.
Larry's fantastic, but Larry is too reasonable to actually be on a fucking Libertarian Party ticket, okay? That is why he is never going to actually get a nationwide thing, because Larry's not a moron. Look, I'm sorry.
So wait, is that implying Clinton is a moron, though?
No, it's just that they're more populist. They are more populist. They're a little more populist to the right in a lot of ways. They fraternize with the right much more. You see them on Tim Katz's.
Yes, they do.
So they pull in that populist conservative base that kind of has libertarian leanings.
I need to turn my fan. It's going to be very cold.
No, that's fine. But just overall, Dave, I could see you engaging with the chat. I enjoy that. You and Nate going back and forth.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Let me see. EA. Oh, I love this. Hold on, real quick.
It's a complete parallel conversation. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the podcast.
Almost everything. Used to be a religious Madden player. Couldn't take it after 15. Only EA game I play anymore is NHL. Last sport that isn't woke. And kind of, you just had the players stand up to the rainbow bullshit with that. But yeah, Madden is just. They get worse every year. Sorry. Go ahead, Eric. Keep going with so we were talking about, caucusing and things like that.
I'm gonna preface because you said something and you might not like this, but before Lars put Larry on his ticket, I was hoping Chase was gonna win. I like Chase a lot. I think he gives us the best chance as a party. He's well spoken, he's younger. And I mean his policies from what I've seen largely agreeable. I don't agree with everyone on everything, but he is libertarian through and through. He's truly anti-war, which is huge. That's the thing that brought him to libertarianism.
Yeah.
Being anti-war. And the Democrats, for those of you who might not have realized this yet, are not anti-war. How do we feel about cursing on this show?
Oh, we can curse all
the
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bombs all the time.
Just go on a diatribe, curse as much as you want. Just don't say any of the YouTube naughty words.
Yeah,
fair enough.
We might not be noticeable, but we could still get taken down.
Yeah.
So.
I'm with you.
Yes. You know the rules. You've been streaming long enough.
Yes. But yeah, that Chase, I don't know. I think he gets a bad rap, especially by the Mises camp. I'm very new to that stuff. I didn't even know about it until I helped Larry with his campaign back in 2022.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of helping with that campaign.
That's awesome.
There were like whispers, and then I started like looking into it, and like apparently, yeah, there's a lot of divisiveness in the Libertarian Party. And I don't think it's fair to call everyone in the Mises caucus raging bigots, and I don't think it's fair to call everyone who's not in the Mises caucus commie plants from the Fed who are trying to destroy the Libertarian Party.
And that's just kind of like the natural progression of things, right? Where you go, the Mises guys, because they want closed borders, automatically they're bigots, right? That's kind of where that gets from. Now, my biggest thing with Chase is, one of the issues with libertarianism is they're too laissez-faire on some things. They want everything to be choice. And it comes down to, we're going to allow kids to become trans. Fuck that. I'm sorry. If you're a parent and you have a child, no. You know what I mean? That is and the fact that Chase is very, very, very trans rights is for kids taking puberty blockers. He's not for surgeries, but he's cool with puberty blockers. He's on record. He maybe changed it up now, but we know that's a lie for politics. We understand that. They all lie. I mean, there are positions that he's had also in terms of climate things as well, where it's like, who's going to actually vote for him besides like 16 people in the Libertarian Party? Like, if you're trying to get there, you're not going to pull the far leftists that are going to vote for Biden. You're not going to pull the Trump people. Who's left?
I would just like to interject here and say, if you're a far leftist, you fucking vote for Cornel West or Jill Stein. Please. I don't want to hear that Biden shit, okay? I'm not talking to you two. I'm talking to the left here. Vote for one of those two. I would rather see Cornel West or Jill Stein in office. And this is speaking as someone who is very adamantly free markets. Vote for one of them, please. Jesus.
I agree with that.
We could get to that whole lesser of two evil thing later. I saw some of the itinerary with third-party relevance, but for now, we'll focus on what you said here. That's such an oversimplification saying Chase is pro-transing kids. Like, from what I've seen him speak on, yes, he did say puberty blockers were something that parents would have to he wouldn't outlaw parents from making that decision. The idea of getting government out of medicine, though, and bodily autonomy, that is, I think, consistent with libertarian values. But I know there's also an argument that children are kind of the property of parents and their responsibility, at least, to a certain extent. So I get that.
Not even to a certain extent. There are child abuse laws for a reason. You cannot do harm to your child. That's not legal. That's why you can't openly in public beat the fuck out of your kid, right? You can't do that legally. And giving them an irreversible surgery that is proven to cause them
no
harm,
surgery,
or irreversible, or even hormones. It's Lupron's a major one that's prescribed to it. It castrates pedophiles. You are changing your kids and you're slowing down their puberty to the point where when they start to hit puberty, even if they change back, they never go through full puberty. Any parent that allows that is child abuse.
This is one of those things that I don't super agree with Chase, but I also recognize my own ignorance on the matter. Like, if you put a gun to my head and we're like, all puberty yes or no, all puberty blockers don't have irreversible effects. It's all temporary and you could get over it if you change your mind. I would say no, they probably do fuck with you to some like permanent capacity. However, I'm not well read enough on it, and the thing I hear most from the people who advocate for this stuff is after months or years of seeing professionals, and I understand sometimes, unfortunately, there is politics and money behind science, so it's not always easy to know who to trust in this regard. But if you have your child, the scenario I hear presented most is a child they start becoming suicidal, they're depressed, they're despondent.
That's
and
incorrect.
Basically
that's been proven to not be true. That's the thing. That is a fallacy, and is something that is told, and you can talk to the detransitioners that are growing by the hundreds, that they are automatically being told those things. And if you do read up on a lot of the literature, there is a ton out there. And if you want to follow a lot of this stuff, an individual that we just talked about before you came on, Eric, a former guest of ours, Sean McBrady, he passed away tragically. We don't know the cause, but 53 years old. He was the host of the Main Source on Truth podcast, and he was exposing a lot of this stuff going on in schools. And, we don't know the circumstances. We don't know anything about it, but he was exposing. You can go listen to his show, and you can also go listen to James Lindsay New Discourses and then read up on a lot of things they talk about. There's an absolute agenda going on here. There is an absolute agenda, and it is not to help kids. There's nothing there to help kids, and there's enough literature to be read. There are enough things to be seen to say, and and you're a smart guy. I know you would read up on this stuff, so that's fantastic. But there is enough out there. There's guys like Billboard Chris you can go follow that that talks about so much of this stuff, and it seems like you're being altruistic, like you're helping these kids, and that's the big narrative that if you don't give this to your kid, they're going to kill themselves. Why? There's no true reason out there. There's just people saying that. And the studies that they show are like internal studies that are not like widespread, not well done. And if you really look into these, they're kind of just like they're not well done studies. They're not scientific. And it's just something that the more deeper you dig into this, the more it's agenda driven. And it's not medically driven at all.
I mean, I would never accuse a politician of doing something out of the goodness of their heart. So that
absolutely.
I'm not. I do believe that. I also believe that gender dysphoria is real.
Absolutely. 100%.
I also believe that gender itself is, as opposed to sex, where sex is not malleable, gender is a social construct.
See, that's also a talking point. Sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead. Sorry, I'll talk after. I'm being an asshole. Go ahead.
So I think a lot of these, a lot of ideas surrounding transgenderism and the pushback that comes along with it is rooted in the idea that we as humans know what the fuck is going on when we don't. That's how I feel. I think, like, we used to give people lobotomies. We used to tell people when they sneezed a demon was coming out of their cock. Like, I don't think...
You brought up lobotomies and that stuff. Wouldn't that prescribe more to the fact that you're doing surgeries and giving these types of treatments when you don't know? Wouldn't that prescribe more to that thing than what we naturally know already?
I agree. I err on the side of not making changes to the body. I don't know that gender affirming care, and especially in terms of permanent manipulation. Well, even taking children out, even taking children out of the equation, when we alter our bodies to placate or match
plus,
something,
I don't fucking care about these people. 18 plus, I don't care. Do what you want. 18 plus, you can mutilate yourself all you want. But here's the thing too, Eric, when we were growing up, or even now, you look at some of these third world countries, right? And it's horrible that they mutilate the genitals of these girls and stuff, right? We look at them, they are savages and things like that. And, and we sit there all of a sudden now and we're like, hey, you call yourself a girl, let's cut your dick off. Cool. And it's like, that's cool here now. We're doing it. Like, oh, you want to be a dude? Let's just rip off a part of your arm and make a fake dick. Like, that's cool. But these third world countries doing it now, they're savages. It's like, there is no difference.
That's whoa. Okay, two things wrong here. One, it's not snap of a finger. It's not little Mike at 6 years old is like, I want to have a vagina, and the mom's like, all right, let's do it.
No, they just start him on testosterone and hormones and then lead him down that way.
They're allegedly, I haven't sat in on any of these alleged month or year-long processes of seeing different professionals and getting different treatments and social transitioning, whatever. So maybe it is a media charade right there.
So here's the thing that I would love for you to do, and I feel like you would do this, and I feel like this would be something you do. I want you to go to a clinic, and I want you to say that you want to be a female and just see if they'll prescribe you with hormones right there. You don't have to take them, obviously. Like, you can walk the fuck out. But go there and just say, like, hey, I would love to get hormones. Go to a clinic and just see if they'll be like, let's start you on it today.
Alex, my friend, I'm a libertarian. I want to go to Wawa and get hormones. I don't want a clinician telling me if I can or can't take hormones. But I see your point. And I do think there is and that's the thing. It does scare me that a good chunk of society does seem very quick to adapt and not adapt. Be like, yeah, of course you're in the wrong body. Of course you should be a different gender. Let's go chop the thing up and give you pills and stuff. But whenever I bring that fear up, I see the pushback being that there is actually a lot of thought and feeling that goes into this. I'll need to check your sources. So I'm not well read.
Do you have ever heard of John Money?
No.
He's the guy that kind of created this gender as a social construct idea. And he was famous for doing an experiment with one set of twins, both boys. And he wanted to prove that gender was a social construct. So essentially what they did, they took them, they split their families, raised one as a boy, raised the other as a girl to try and prove this. In the mid-20s, these individuals never met each other at this point. The one that they raised as a girl while they were going through puberty, knew something was wrong, knew that they weren't a girl, and later in life, in their mid-20s, eventually committed suicide because they knew they were not a girl. They cut off their dick. They did all this shit to them just to prove that it was a social construct. And that
what dystopia?
And then,
I think you're missing out on a lot of things. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And then the brother also killed himself when he found out about this.
Yeah,
I'm about to kill myself here in about.
That's the general gist of the story.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think, like you said, you do want to check sources. I do think there's a lot of research you might have to do into this topic, because there is a lot of stuff out there. We're not just hand waving and just trying to go after something just because of some ideological belief. No, it's mainly because we see shit and it's just like, no, this is obviously wrong. That's what I'm saying.
And I'll say this: as much as Matt Walsh could be a boob, go watch What Is a Woman, because that is honestly his best work. It is his best work in terms of what he's done. Matt Walsh is your stodgy conservative, suit wearing, uniparty type of guy, and Matt Walsh is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of his. He made a documentary called What Is a Woman? Huh?
What is a woman?
He made a documentary, What Is a Woman? It's actually really good on this.
You might still have to go through a paywall. You could find a very legal site to stream it on. Is it free?
I thought it was free on YouTube.
They might have put it free now.
They had it for a little while. But yeah, I recommend definitely go watching that. It's Matt Walsh's documentary, and it's well done. It's
fair enough.
Done. And it covers a part of this. It doesn't cover it all. But there's a lot of literature. And the thing is, Eric, go read their own words.
Here's what I want to ask you, and this is a little subjective and a little hypothetical. Take any random 10 parents in the country, and their kid comes up to them, and they're like, "Mommy, Daddy, I'm trans." How many out of those 10 parents do you think are like, "Yes, let's do it"? Like immediately.
It all depends on where they live, what the social pressures are of that area. If they're a white affluent area and they're white people, they're going to do it. If they're in a white affluent area, they're probably going to say, yeah, let's do it, because that has been the prominent thing in white suburbia and these things like that. It's huge. It really all depends on if they are like a Southern conservative, I'd say that there's a 70-30 chance, because a lot of them are freaking captured as well. In a lot of ways, because they just don't want their kids, parents aren't parents right now. They're still friends. And that's a big issue, where they want their kids to like them instead of fucking teach them things. And, that's part of it. But, I really think it depends. But with a lot of look at Pride Month right now. Pride Month has nothing to do with gay people anymore. Pride Month is all kink. You go to Pride parades, they're all trying to fuck each other in different ways half the time. Yes, there's people celebrating being gay. Don't get me wrong. But it's like you put LGB next to TQ. They're two different things. One of them is who they want to have sex with. The other ones are identities. They're very different. They don't belong together.
I agree with the last part of identity versus orientation. Yes. I don't know about the orgies that the pride parades are turning into. I'm not saying they're not. I haven't seen this. This is not something I've.
This is the one thing. Yes, there's echo chambers on X and things like that. And I have lists on my X, so I can here's my conservative echo chamber. Here's my leftist echo chamber, so I can check in. The conservatives have something right, man. They'll film these fucking parades, and they're disgusting. There's so much shit going on there. That is,
listen, would be a libertarian. We should have sex parades every day with everybody.
That's just because libertarians are just horny Republicans a lot of the times, okay?
Sure. Fucking gooners. They're all a bunch of fucking gooners.
That could be Larry's next shirt. We're just horny Republicans.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I've heard it all with that.
That's
kind of got off topic there.
Yeah, so I actually want to switch topics here. So talking about libertarianism.
Unless you want to say one last thing.
Yeah, I'll let you get the last word.
I would just like to say I have trans friends. I have a lot of empathy for. I could not imagine being in a body I did not feel was my own. I got a glimpse of that when I was in 8th grade going into 9th grade.
Yeah.
I got surgery on my lazy eye because I was very insecure, upset about it.
Absolutely.
It's a very different thing, but I feel like it's similar in the sense where there was something about me that I felt I really didn't like. I did change that, and having grown up, I would not have changed that. I would not have gotten that surgery knowing what I know now.
Yeah. 100%.
But the idea, it's hard for me to be like, no, trans people shouldn't do this, or being trans is all a social thing, because like I said, I am ignorant of it. I don't think anybody on the planet has enough information to make a judgment as to whether or not gender dysphoria, someone with gender dysphoria, can live their best life by either A, being psychologically or socially treated, versus getting some physical alteration. And I do know one thing for a fact. 100 years from now, people are going to look back on us and think everybody on every side was an idiot.
Well, we're going to be in the singularity anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
I like that idea.
And, I'll piggyback on that real quick because I really like what you said. There's a huge difference between a trans individual just trying to live their lives and a fucking activist. And I think that's kind of, we can all agree on that. A trans individual living their life is very different than an activist trying to force their way of life down people's throats. Not everyone needs to be an activist. And I know gay people and trans people just want to be left the fuck alone.
That last part tends to be the case. It's activism is sometimes necessary to counteract those who won't leave those people the fuck alone.
Agreed. And then, from where activism has been on a lot of topics, it's agitators creating an issue. Because if you look at communism and Marxism, which a lot of the theory we have right now stems from it, your critical theories that we're seeing stem from the Frankfurt School, which were, neo-Marxist thinkers. The thing is, they use topics like this to progress. The issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. You'll hear that be said, right? So right now, it was women for a long time. They were used. And, second and third wave feminism was straight up Marxism. They really pushed that. They were useful. They're done. They're basically pushed to the outskirts now. Then it was gay people. Now it's trans people. They're getting to kids. There is a whole methodology here, and it's been mapped out and laid out by Marxist writers and Marxist thinkers over the past 100 years.
The ultimate goal being putting the means of production in the hands of the workers.
No, the ultimate goal is them on top, everyone else fucking on bottom. Marxism has never been about the means of production. It is it's a theocratic theory. It's not a economic theory.
I tried reading Das Kapital and I couldn't even get through that 5-page book.
The original title of the Communist Manifesto was something like it's something. It was a religious title. It wasn't the manifesto. And again, and I'll recommend everyone here, if you're trying to, New Discourses, James Lindsay, if you go listen to his podcast, they're long. They're basically 300 level courses, 400 level courses in podcast form, but they inform on a lot of this. He reads a lot of just source material and opines on the source material, but he always, you can always go find what he's talking about. And he did things on people like Herbert Marcuse, Antonio Gramsci, Michel Foucault, Jacques Derrida, and all these things between postmodernism, Marxism, and all this type of stuff, and the Frankfurt School, even Marx himself. And there's a lot there. And I'll just, I'll let people go do the research. I do the names out there, but there is a lot there, and there is more than meets the eye, and it's not necessarily a conspiracy.
Press 1 in chat for Alex Cuesta reading list link. I gotta make one.
James Lindsay is solid. Thank you, Nate. Appreciate that. Yeah, New Discourses are dope. But yeah, no, I feel like I have a podcast for you to go listen to now, Eric. I feel like you would love it because here's the thing. James is a guy that voted. He was a left. He was a Democrat guy. And then the Democrats went fucking crazy. And now he's just dedicated his life to just destroying Marxism. And it's fantastic.
There you go.
So, all right. So I want to jump into the topics. We're 40 minutes deep and I love it. I want to talk about the Libertarian Party, and we can kind of mash in why you're a Libertarian with the party itself. So first, you've been a Libertarian for a long time. For a very, very long time. You're not this laissez-faire Libertarian. You loved Ron Paul when Ron was there and things like that. And he turned a lot of our generation into Libertarians, right? Is he your inspiration to become a Libertarian, and why have you stayed as a Libertarian?
Okay, here's the thing. I'll never forget. We had a certain history teacher in freshman year, and one of the things he prefaced his course with, like it was the first day in class, he said, "I'm a proud Democrat." By the way I'm breathing, I hope you know who that is.
I know exactly who it is. David never had the chance to have him. He retired before.
Shit.
And I'm not going to name drop because he's actually a nice person. He is a very nice individual. I really like him as a person.
I was about to say, and how good he was, and how good his class was, and I was always passionate about history, but he was a great teacher and a good dude, and he took that to the next level. And the more I thought about my road to libertarianism, the more I feel like he kind of factors into it, because he prefaced his courses with him being a liberal, a Democrat, and blah, and that was something at that juncture I could aspire to, because he put it in the context of something I love, societal U.S. history. So I was of the mind at one point, I would say to my mid-teens, I thought everyone should vote on everything. Like, I thought that made the most sense for whatever reason. That lasted about 2 years. And then somebody named Mr. Cornish came along.
That's because you realize people were fucking stupid. That's why.
Not just stupid, but Mr. Cornish made me realize how corrupt and fucked up the government is. How sketchy stuff that they did. And I didn't have like a philosophy to get behind at that point. It was just sort of anger. That we would have a government that would basically get us into World War I by sending the Lusitania or something.
Yep.
And then we did it again in World War II, like finding all these excuses to intervene in world affairs and be the quote unquote good guys and whatnot. Then Ron Paul came around, and that was 2008. And he made a lot of sense. Anti-war and the Fed. That's when I was learning about fiat currency and stuff. And how the Fed
I just want to throw out there real quick. President for World War I, Woodrow Wilson. Crazy progressive leftist Democrat. President for World War II. Yeah, easily the worst president. Now Biden may actually take that cake. It's close. Number 2 for World War II, FDR. Easily one of the worst presidents we've ever had in our history.
Pretty bad.
Also a leftist who Hitler said was a great fascist. Okay? Hitler said that FDR was a great fascist on his policies. So, mind you, the 2 people that got us into war were the anti-war people. Go ahead, continue, Eric. Sorry about that.
They're not wrong, to my knowledge. So, Ron Paul, though, he seemed very anti-war. He was anti-imperialism, free trade, got me questioning tariffs and stuff, and our money supply, which is one of the biggest issues. I think once we sort of resolve our economic issues, a lot of the other stuff will fall by the wayside. When people's needs are met, I feel like we're very less likely to be at each other's throats. And that's one of the things that the duopoly does with the Republicans and Democrats. They leverage these social issues, which are ultimately, they fall into 2 categories in my mind. Either they're inconsequential in the scope of things because they should be out of the scope of government, leading into the fact that they're irrelevant. If trans rights, gay rights, white rights, black rights, straight rights, none of it means anything if we're starving to death or we have boots on our necks. Like, it's not relevant at that point. Absolutely. Without freedom, without some sort of security, knowing that we could survive another day, nothing else matters.
All those rights are useless because we just need to talk about human rights, people's rights, the rights given by God that aren't given by government. Like, bottom line, like whether you believe in God or not, but just natural, you can say natural rights. You might not believe in a God, but natural rights that a government can't give. And that is the problem with the leftist philosophy, as opposed to even conservative and libertarian, right? Because both conservatives and libertarians believe government doesn't give rights. Government just takes them and should protect natural ones. Like, government can only take rights, and they should, libertarians don't believe that, but conservatives at least believe that part of the contract is to protect.
No, wait, what are you saying? Libertarians don't believe?
Just don't want. You guys are borderline anarchists, okay?
I mean, it runs the gamut. We're a bigger tent.
It's a huge fucking tent. You don't really know exactly what type of
libertarians aren't a party. Let's be honest. Libertarians are just such a they're like, let's believe in like one core tenet. Everything should be free. Okay, nothing else. We don't give a fuck. Everything should be freedom oriented.
I mean, I'm a nap libertarian. the non-aggression principle. That I love that. That's because I'm definitely not a pacifist. Self-defense is important. Yes. But yeah, I mean, it's very disorganized. It's commonly compared to herding cats when you try to get us to agree on anything.
It also goes with the party, though, for it to be disorganized. If it was organized, it wouldn't make any fucking sense. Like, it just wouldn't be the Libertarian Party.
It would be the Libertarian Party if they were organized. Like, it wouldn't be a thing. It couldn't be.
I mean,
by its nature, you know it's right, though. That's the
by its nature, it is.
At this point in time, you are correct. But I would like to say I've been a little L libertarian. Mm-hmm. I'll vote for a Republican. I'll vote for a Democrat. I don't have party loyalty. As long as they like Bill Weld, he was a pretty staunch Democrat before joining with Gary Johnson. Yeah. Now, when you say conservatives are about protecting rights and not feeling like they're granting them, immediately what popped into my head was Trump talking about taking the guns and asking for permission or whatever.
Trump's
he said. Like,
not a conservative. I will say that first. He is not a conservative.
I do want to ask real quick before we jump off of it.
Yeah,
I have never met a libertarian or someone who claims they're libertarian in some sense that claims that they're big L libertarian. What the like? I've never met. Everyone is disgusted by it. They never. I'm just saying. Do you know people?
Libertarian.
No. I'm just saying. Do you know people who claim that they're big L libertarian? Like, do you know? Because it might just be like just my people I've met. Like, do you know people who claim that, or do they all say they're small L libertarian? I'm not taking a shot at you. I'm just saying.
No, that's okay. It's the party leaders and the delegates. Those are the big L's, and they take the big L's. Okay, I'll take the little L's.
That's fair.
But yeah, like we said, we seem to agree before. There's a lot going on in the party, so it's hard to
It is hard. So, with that being said, is there a possibility that anyone can ever truly latch on to them as a third party? Because I feel like, you see the inner turmoil with Democrats. We see it like, the squad and the progressives, like your Bernies, your squad, pushing it in one direction. But it really does.
Add the caveat, because I had a caveat to that question on a federal level.
On a federal level.
On a local level,
libertarians are great.
I'm asking
federal level. You have your people on the left that are pulling them more progressive, but I've said to David, and my theory is this is what the old Democrats always wanted. They were just doing it incrementally. The squad kind of pushed us into like high gear, right? And you could see that by now the leftists on Democrats are just mask off. We're socialists. We don't give a fuck anymore. And there is turmoil in the conservative party, right? You have your Freedom Caucus and more your populist conservatives. You have your uniparty rhinos that are as good as Democrats that want to just maintain power. And they've always been a problem. And I remember listening to Rush Limbaugh younger. He's been complaining about this since the 80s. The leftist Republicans that are voted in and they fucking suck. So there is that turmoil. But the difference is when push comes to shove, these two sides will more than likely caucus, right? See a lot of party line votes. Libertarians won't do that. If there was an actual representation of libertarians in Congress outside of like the Mises guys who kind of and they battle too, right? The Mises caucus has internal struggle too. They debate shit all the time. The Libertarian Party is just hard to get behind. And that's why you have a lot of conservatives that are like, hey, I have libertarian leanings. I believe a lot of things that libertarians believe in a lot of ways. We disagree here. And, and so with that being said, is there ever a chance of a Libertarian Party being truly relevant with all of this turmoil? I feel like they're relevant to get conversations started because they're extremely interesting, well thought out guys and girls, good thinkers, like, good conversationalists. But who the fuck knows what they believe? Like, they're different from person to person, period. There is no like binding thing.
The binding thing is the belief in voluntary interaction and freedom of association. The binding thing is that government should not extend outside of the realm of protecting rights.
I like that.
And there are minarchists which do believe in a bit more extension. Like, for instance, if I were made president tomorrow, I would not shut welfare off overnight. Like, there's certain things that you can... you want to minimize suffering and stuff. It's not, you do have some, like, I'll call them severely principled libertarians who just want anarchy overnight.
But there'll also be dictators, and it's like, fuck off. You obviously don't believe in liberty if you would come in and do something overnight, which is illegal. Presidents do not have the power to do those things overnight, even though it's been abused through executive fiat a lot of times.
That's true. But in terms of your question about a Libertarian Party candidate getting federal office, so right now it doesn't look good at all. But I've been hearing more and more the idea of getting little wins and concessions, making society as a whole more libertarian.
Yep. And
Angela McArdle, the chair of the Libertarian Party, she was speaking on that a little during her Chase endorsement. I don't know if you caught that, but God damn it. Whatever. But she made some interesting points in there, saying that, reiterating what Trump said about, I'm going to have libertarians in my cabinet. I'm going to free Ross Ulbricht. Most people didn't even know who Ross Ulbricht was. And now,
I firmly believe Trump had no idea who the fuck Ross Ulbricht was. He just read that. I think he thought he was going to say Julian Assange. Like, I'm not going to lie. And I'm a guy that supports Trump. So,
according to Angela, she had been talking to him and the team about it for a couple of months on and off. Yeah. So before that, though, anyone's guess. He probably didn't know. But building up to this, Trump recognized that he wanted the libertarian vote, or what he could get out of it.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's going to get a fair amount of it, to be honest.
Get the Mises group, to be quite honest. Like, outside of, the fact that there is no representation of Mises on the ticket right now, that's a problem.
Kermit was supposed to be that.
Kind of.
He was the bridger.
Kind of, and it's not working because they haven't taken well to him either. So
yeah, because he endorsed Chase instead of Rechtenwald, who
and Rechtenwald is a breadstick. That's his issue. Rechtenwald is an absolute breadstick.
What the fuck is a breadstick?
Stale. Like, they don't have much personality. You ever watch Old Greg?
Yes.
That's where I use it from, because I call people breadsticks because they have no personality, because that's what he uses to say to the guy. He calls him a breadstick.
Someone just called me Old Greg yesterday.
That should be a compliment, okay?
I don't know about that.
Yes, it is. It's attached to your rod, mother liquor.
Holy shit.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
That was like the fish demon on the boat in the moonlight.
Okay. I'm Old Greg. One with a mangina.
Mangina.
I'm about it.
I love it.
I'm about it.
But yeah, so that's the thing with Rechtenwald. And that's why I said fuck Dave Smith. Because Dave Smith would have train wrecked everyone there. Because he's popular. He's popular among a lot, like the far leftists. And the issue is, too, I saw they waited forever for the final round of voting, and a lot of people left. And that really affected the percentage, because Rechtenwald was doing much better earlier in the day. He was leading, and whether it was the coup between, whatever you say his name, the third place guy, and Chase, and yeah, it was kind of the coup there between them combining.
Oh, Mike Termont.
Okay. Yeah, Termont and him combining and saying, hey, I'm supporting him, and that kind of screwed Rechtenwald. But if they didn't do it so late and people didn't leave, still feel Rechtenwald would have had the chance, and we would have had a Rechtenwald-Russell ticket, which I think would have brought. Listen, the leftists are irrelevant in the Libertarian Party in terms of the grand scheme of things, right? More your libertarians. Yes, they are. They're useless.
Well, all right. What do you mean about
leftists? You're commie libertarians, which are funny.
So yes and no. When you look at the political compass, I would at least contend I have more in common with the bottom left than I do the top right.
Is that because you lean more socially, just laissez-faire?
Yeah.
Okay, and that would make sense. That would make sense that you're more socially laissez-faire, and that will put you there. I mean, I guess.
I don't have the whole thing is I don't have the right to put the gun in anyone's head and say you have to do this. I'm definitely of the mind if you don't like it, don't do it.
I agree, but there's also, do you feel that there's a rule in society where it's like, I'm not telling you to do this, but you shouldn't do that, right? Don't kill people. Don't rape people. Like,
infringing upon bodily autonomy, yeah.
But you're true libertarians to say, nope, it's someone's freedom to do that. Fuck it. Like,
no. No. That's not anybody who thinks that will get No, that's not a thing. It has to be the non-aggression principle and voluntary interaction. Consent is the cornerstone. Now, if two people want to have a duel and they consent to it,
absolutely bring duels back.
Absolutely, I'm with you there. We can agree on that.
But I did like the old-fashioned way before, Barr and Hamilton were fucking assholes, where you just kind of showed up and did it, and you didn't shoot the guy. It was just an honor thing. Most duels, they didn't shoot each other. They showed up, they took their steps, and they intentionally aimed away. It was just a way of showing, hey, I'm not a bitch. I'm willing to be here. It was an honor thing. People really didn't actually kill each other in the duels for the most part.
I can't play that kind of chicken with someone. You, oh, he ain't gonna shoot me.
It was like a known thing that you didn't shoot somebody. Like that was
I had no idea.
Known thing that it was more of like a political thing. Now, some of your southern, your southern Democrats, they were a little crazier, and because they were racist pieces of shit down there.
Not Alex. Alex is going back to like 1487.
But that's where the duels are popular. We got duels.
Fucking.
We got done with. Hey, listen, they haven't changed. There was no party flip. I will go to my grave about that one, and I've done research to fucking prove that. So there was no party flip. It doesn't exist.
They were the racist party. That's for sure.
Still are the racist party. The proof is in their politics.
Yeah,
proof isn't. They haven't changed. They're still trying to keep minorities in friggin' plantation type areas. I always put it to people: why can poor white people own trailers for the most part? And why are poor Black and Latino people stuck in public housing? Told they have to be there. Why don't they get the option of ownership?
What do you mean told they have to be there?
When they're basically told you have to go in the cities, and if you're down on your dumps, if you're poor, Section 8's your option. For the most part. Obviously, there's outliers everywhere, but you find your poor southern cities, your white people are in trailers and they own them. There's no one telling them you better go on Section 8. It's kind of what they're told to do in a lot of ways.
That's very interesting. When you say told, do you mean like by their local governing bodies, by the media, by?
No, it's kind of just been culturally put into them at this point. A lot of ways, like they, if they grow up there, they kind of don't leave, and they're kind of told like, "Hey, you can never get out of here." Section 8, like welfare, like the holding you down, and
it was the movement of poor Blacks after slavery up north. They went to cities. They went to cities generally, and then the cities themselves, they fucking ended up destroying. Not the poor, but the government ended up destroying the cities. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but that's Martin Van Buren. That's a Democrat, Martin Van Buren. He was an architect with that, with Tammany Hall and things going on in New York and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, and that was by design to keep the slaves under the boot of Democrats. And that's never been a thing to keep, and they continually do it, and it's what we see today. It hasn't changed. So I have plenty. I can make this argument consistently that the party flip is not real. It never happened. Some people may have become like, personality wise, but you didn't see the South become red until really Reagan.
Sometimes I make an itinerary and I wonder why I've done it.
Yeah, well, we kind of stayed out. Listen, it's a general itinerary. Okay?
That is true.
It is a general itinerary, and it's the Alex Cuesta show, not it's David fucking shut up show.
Damn,
no, David needs to speak more. David doesn't speak enough. That's the problem. But so back on task because David reprimanded me. Why should somebody become a libertarian? What would be your pitch if they are someone who is like, I fucking hate Joe Biden. Democrats are pissing me off, or someone's like, hey, Trump is not my guy. I was more of a Bush-Reagan guy. This sucks. I want to find somewhere new. These aren't my areas. But you know what I mean, Dave? Someone that doesn't prescribe to populism right now. Like, if you have your Democrats, your Republicans that are kind of like, I hate my party, why should they become a libertarian? What's your pitch to them?
So I'm very on board with how Larry and Chase pitch it. And since I can't recite either verbatim, I'll kind of melt them down together.
Summarize it, paraphrase it, yeah.
But basically, if you live your life in peace and you don't feel the need to force other people to do things, and you don't want other people forcing you to do things, then the Libertarian Party is for you. Ultimately, we want to get rid of taxes. We want to get rid of war. We want to get rid of restrictions on consenting adults. As we discussed earlier in the show, things involving kids, definitely more touchy, definitely worth more attention from people hopefully more informed than I am. And but the idea is, if you're an adult, you have a right to your work, you have a right to what you earn, you have a right to associate with who you see fit, and you shouldn't have the government telling you what you can and can't do as long as you're not hurting anybody else. The Democrats don't seem to believe that. They're very big on taxes. They basically right now, we get taxed when we make money, when we
In California, it's quite literally everything. But yeah, when you buy something outside of like food, basically, which some of that's tax if you get processed things. When you buy a house, when you get paid, when you buy anything at all major, that's not like a necessity. When you die, because they want a wealth tax and they have it in some places. An estate tax and everything like that too. The estate tax is real. So yeah, they want taxes everywhere.
And didn't Biden say he was like only raising taxes on the top 1%, and then like the IRS got a huge influx of cash to go hunt people down?
Yeah, the IRS never goes after
a ton of people and a ton of cash to go and hunt the middle class down.
And it makes no sense to go after rich people, because the rich people are such a small percent. They don't get much taxes from they get majority, but they want to make up the rest from us that they're not getting it from.
Well, and then the Republicans, that's what I wanted to mention that Dave Smith said. He was saying it, I believe, to Trump, but he was saying it of a Republican politician. Said he talks like he's going to govern like Ron Paul, but winds up governing like John McCain.
He did have problems. I will give you that in his presidency. And I'll preface this, and David will agree with me. We both hate Republicans too. Okay, we're both more conservative.
Okay,
so we're different. Now, I will caucus with Republicans because I agree with them much more on things, and I want to get things done. So I'm not going to go third party. There's less of a chance of getting a truly effective thing, except for local. Local, you could be libertarian, and that's fine. Federally, it's a two-party thing. But I agree with you. I agree with Dave Smith with Trump in a lot of ways.
I would like to say I'm not 100% sure it was about Trump. I know it was about a Republican politician. I think it was Trump.
It probably was.
Check.
Probably was.
Yeah. So, I mean, economically, are we more or less on the same page?
I feel like in a lot of ways we are. I would like to get rid of basically every tax outside of like for defense, because we need a military. So you need a tax to keep your military going. Now, there's probably a disagreement whether or not we need a standing military or how much of a military we need. I would like to pull everyone home from internationally and just have everyone here and just threaten the world with like, hey, see that 500,000 we just brought home? We will quite literally put them at your fucking shore if you get out, if you mess with us. That's it.
I like that.
That's my theory. Get them home and everyone can kick rocks.
I am very interested in the privatization of everything. I'm not well read enough yet. I read some stuff about private courts and
it gets tough.
It gets dicey.
I think there's some like we rag on fucking the left a lot, but I think there is some argument for how private companies do things and why even unions were invented in the first place, even though I don't like them very much. But like, there's at least some argument there for that type of shit. Obviously, like you said, I'm not even well read enough. I'm just saying, and you probably have seen the same thing. There's at least some argument on the side of like, maybe not everything should be exactly private. And maybe not.
My concern is, as much as it's still loose and kind of fake, there's still some oversight on public things, right? Like if you really don't like something locally, you can go change your sheriff. You can go vote out council members. You can do these things. Something private, who's their oversight? If they're public, it's shareholders. Do we have a say in that? You know what I mean? And there is, and I listen to Timcast, and it's known here, and he actually had someone, and they were having this conversation about privatization of things. And he said, growing up in Chicago, they did this. They privatized roads. And at one point, Tim's car got taken. Now, I don't know if this is true because I don't know Tim Pool personally, but his car got taken. And when he called the company, they're like, we don't give a fuck. It's our rules. And he tried to call the cops, and the cops are like, we can't do anything. It's not our road. And then they were like, you can't do anything about it. You're going to sue us? Good luck. And they're a major company. So privatization has its issues. Look at corporations now.
I was gonna say, yeah,
How
you can see
great are they?
basically the cons of corporations and the cons of public stuff right now, like some of the biggest ones from all that.
It's real
okay.
difficult to see who's better.
Okay.
At least there's a say in one of them. Theoretically, we have a say in something where representatives, you know, come in there and
I'd say theoretically we have a say in the privatization one as well. It's just different ways. I'm sorry, go ahead.
The only thing I'll couch to that, sorry, real quick, Eric, is look at utilities. Utilities and our cable, they're private, right? But do we have a say? But here's the thing, we don't have a say. Your utility, they monopolize.
Exactly.
They're allowed to
Exactly.
they're allowed to monopolize cable and
government backed
streaming services. Yes, government backed, but they're still private. They are still private companies.
Okay.
These will be government backed anyway. Everything that we want to privatize, roads, police forces, all this would be government backed because it would be the government's choosing those private companies in a lot of ways.
So, okay, would you contend that the U.S. currently is more of a free market arena or a socialist arena?
It's a fascistic arena right now. Public-private partnerships. A lot of public-private partnerships in the major high level.
Corporatist.
Corporate is a good way.
American way.
A lot of we're seeing a lot of we're becoming more of an oligarchy every day.
I agree with that
in a lot of ways.
And I don't want getting purity in this world with anything is difficult. So I don't want to sit here and be like, that's not a real free market or that's not real socialism.
Yeah.
Communism's never been tried correctly.
But I mean, depends who you ask. And it's the same with
if you ask China and they're 50 million dead. No, it wasn't tried very well.
Oh, yeah.
You ask Russia, it's been fucked. Cambodia, they lost 20% of their population for it. Like
I always liked the argument that the best example of a communist sort of society is a family unit. Which, I mean, kind of makes sense in a way, but that obviously that runs into problems when you go outside of your family and into bigger areas. But whatever, that's not that's a big tangent. The point is, it's man, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Privatization of shit. I just basically said that the privatization would lead to basically
So you have it's hard to say like Tim Pool's car being taken in a completely privatized society would stand as well, because in this case what it seems like to me, not knowing too much about the story, is that the government, the one party which is supposed to have a monopoly on force, is too weak to step into this private party. But there would be innate checks and balances in the marketplace in the form of competition. And what I wanted to get into on this show,
that's what we were talking about. That's where we got off. I talked about the utilities.
Well, yeah, we did get into utilities.
Go into where you want to get.
Go ahead, sorry.
But
fucking
the voting with your dollar. I'm doing this a little backwards because I think voting with your dollar is the single most important and consistent way anyone could vote. Unfortunately, the Federal Reserve prints away our purchasing power, so it's not as effective as it really should or could be. I wanted that to kind of be an after point for the idea of people who don't want to vote at all, who think voting is pointless and won't do it regardless of whatever.
I want less people voting now. Too many headline idiots vote. I need less people voting.
Do you though?
Fuck yeah. Too many people that don't know shit on either side vote.
That's fair.
I want less voting.
That's fair.
I want it to be maybe an eighth of the country that votes, if that.
And this is where libertarianism should be appealing to everyone. Because everybody could vote libertarian without having to worry about cocksmacking anyone else by accident. Because the whole idea of a libertarian in office is, and I think the phrase was put, we want to gain power so we can leave you alone. And
that never works.
Never works?
Never works.
Well, it doesn't have to not work.
It won't work. It won't work.
Why? Why won't it work?
Nobody that gains power is going to leave anybody alone. That's
oh
bullshit.
My goodness. Bullshit. So you don't think, who do you think the most principled libertarian is that you could think of? Even if they're not part of the party?
Probably Larry.
Okay. You think Larry becomes president, he's going to have like an iron fist?
I think that becoming president is a lot more complicated than we think it is. I think that doesn't matter who you are. I think Donald Trump got a taste of this because I think Donald Trump did want to go in and do a lot of shit. And I think he hired bad people. I think we saw that a mile away. He was hiring some fucking idiots, Reince Priebus, John Bolton, Pompeo, a lot of people. But I also think that he thought being a businessman, you get someone from every walk because you kind of listen to every side and you take it and you run with it. And I don't think he realized the power that some of these people that were already swamp monsters had. And it fucked them, right? And I think that's, and I hope that when he wins, he learns his mistake. But I think that even if Larry Sharpe got in there, he'd go in there with like a bull in a fucking china shop, but he's also a reasonable guy. They would sit him down. And I really think even Obama sat Trump down and was like, listen, dude, I get it. And, Trump has said they had a great conversation with the transition. I think he sat down and said, there are things that you just can't do. And there are people you didn't, and there's probably a list. Like these are the people you need to talk to. And I think even Larry would get that. And I think he would understand that there's only so much that a president can actually accomplish.
Yes.
And I think that he would, campaign promises are what they are. You could do your best. But I think even Larry would come in there and either he would have to fire everybody and fucking go dictatorial if you want to get anything done. And I think that's kind of like the only way right now to fucking fix the bureaucracy. But I also don't want to see that. I don't want a dictator. So it's such a weird juxtaposition. So.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned and emphasized that the president doesn't have dictatorial powers. That's true. Which
with all their fucking federal places, though, they do, because an executive order is an executive order amongst federal workers, but federal workers are everywhere and in every facet of our life now.
They are now, yes.
I hate that.
That I did like that Trump said he was going to end the Department of Education. I heard him mention that in a recent interview.
But then he wants to give the FBI a new building in Washington. Like, fucking Trump needs to get his shit together. Like, he really does.
Yes. But that kind of leads me back to the point of small wins and concessions and whatnot. The thing is, and one of the biggest things I wanted to touch on with this conversation is every election is too important. Every single election is like make or break the entire planet.
Always.
And so people vote out of fear. They vote for the lesser of two evils. They don't vote for policies they actually want, maybe a scant few. But what people don't see, and these are the same people who will blame Biden for crashing the economy, will blame Trump for crashing the economy. There's a very long-term effect that we have a lot of trouble that we can't predict anything, but I'm saying the shitty candidates we have now and the bad policies we have now are from people back in the early 90s saying, who was it, Bush and Dole? Like, oh, well, I don't like either of these guys, but I gotta vote for the lesser of two evils.
It was Dole and Clinton. I think Dole and Clinton got fucked. Clinton railroad Dole because Dole fucking sucked. But also you had Ross Perot taking a bunch of votes from Dole.
I don't know how Ross Perot was at this juncture. I'll just assume he was better than both of them, which is stupid.
And then you have Nader, who we invented a little bong out of. So
there you go.
We've used the Nader before, Eric.
That was short for Roachinator. Okay, that was different. Oh my god! Back in my day,
bringing back times. But I agree.
I didn't inhale. I want to make that clear. I never inhaled.
Here's the thing, and here's my advice to libertarians and the party. Yes, keep running your federal candidates. You'd be an idiot not to try, right? Focus local. Where the Libertarian Party can be the most effective is at the local and state level by far. And I don't think that libertarians will ever crack the national code. I don't think they will because of the chaos of the party. Not necessarily because of the policies, but because you guys all hate each other. But I think that locally, incredibly effective, and that's the most important part, is the local in terms of our day-to-day.
If Ron Paul were 30 years younger, do you think he'd have a shot at being president, regardless of what party he ran in? Like, I mean, if he ran as Republican, could he take it?
Currently, the current populist right would like him a lot more.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the cult of personality that Trump has. That's one of the things that Trump has that nobody has had in a long time. The cult of personality. And it's a big deal.
Reagan was the last one, or Clinton?
Obama, by far. It was Obama.
Obama.
People forget that people were fainting over Obama. And I hate this whole thing. Everyone's like, well, Trump has a cult. Obama had a much bigger cult than Trump ever has. Obama's following was significantly bigger than MAGA. It really was. So I do want to quickly touch on the election before we get out of here. We're an hour 16 and I fucking have loved this conversation. It's been a lot of fun. David, shut up. So the election, I want to throw out my conspiracy here and I want to see what you think about it, Eric. And David, I think it's fairly plausible, right? I think,
if I remember right, I don't remember.
I think the Democrats have already given up on Joe Biden. I think they're going to try. They're going to do what they can. But I think that they understand that Trump is probably going to win the presidency. And I think they know that whether they try to cheat or not, whatever, he's going to win it. What I think their focus is the House and the Senate. Here's why. They can let Trump win. But with all the retirings going on with Republicans, a lot of those seats are going to be swing seats now, especially with the way things were going. They were mostly rhinos in those seats anyway. So you're going to get the left's going to have a chance. The Senate has a lot of the same things. I think they focus on winning the House and the Senate because you also have enough soft Republicans that whether Trump wins or not, they're going to impeach him and remove him. That's no doubt in my mind. I think if he wins and the Republicans don't take the focus off Donald Trump. Conservatives, Republicans need to take the focus off Trump and, focus more on getting their House and Senate candidates to win because I think the Democrats are focusing lower and they are going to impeach and actually remove him. And the VP is significantly more important than we realize.
I'm not going to lie. I just want to chime in real quick.
Go ahead.
Because I don't know if you said the full thing to me. I don't agree with the removing them. They might impeach him again.
I think
they have fun doing that. But I think they'll just mainly stalemate anything he wants to do.
I think that there's enough weakness in the Senate that they will remove him. I think there's enough, McConnell's going to probably, did McConnell announce his retirement? I don't think so. But unless McConnell dies, I think he'll be there. You have John Thune, you have Lindsey Graham. You have people like Lindsey Graham's a fake piece of shit. Lindsey Graham will vote for him out. And I think there's enough there. And if they win, if they get 55 in the Senate, they will find a fucking 11 Republicans to turn on him in the Senate. He'll get impeached. He'll get removed. And I think that's their play. Because I think they know that Biden is dead.
On what grounds are they impeaching him?
Does it matter? What grounds did they just impeach him for twice?
But I just want to make sure I'm understanding what impeachment is. I thought there had to be some sort of crime or like civil.
The two impeachments that they had against him, there was nothing. It was like, really, it was bad.
Yeah.
So they don't need a crime. We've seen that the justice system is working against.
Yeah,
well, not a crime, but like a big scandal.
A scandal, kind of like an unfit for office kind of thing, or something like he shouldn't be.
If he gets in with
Clinton got impeached,
we'll look at these 4 lawsuits or whatever, the 3 lawsuits. All they have to do is name one of them. All they have to do is name one of them, and they'll say, even if he's not found guilty, a president is not fit on these grounds.
Maybe one of y'all could help me with that. I've been trying to hunt down a breakdown of what Trump is even really in trouble for. I've seen some things.
Which one?
Right now, like that he's going to get sentenced for. I know they have him on 34 counts, which is all from one instance of multiple payments.
It is one count.
So
right.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't followed it completely, but if you can correct me, Alex, because like I said, I haven't followed it completely. But if I'm recalling correctly, it is he used campaign money I'm saying
as hush money.
I'm saying the assertion is he used campaign money as hush money to Stormy Daniels. That's using what's his name?
Michael Cohen
in order to get the money to her. That is the assertion, correct?
And the issue is though he didn't label it as campaign finance.
Yes.
If he would have labeled it as campaign finance, then it wouldn't have been illegal in the state of New York. Now, It is a state crime, not a federal crime in a state court. This isn't a federal crime. This is a state crime. And in New York State, affecting the integrity of the election is against the law. And that's what they're trying to bring him up on. And they convicted him of it. He's going to be sentenced 4 days before the convention, which is ridiculous. But he was basically the fact that he paid Michael Cohen, who was a retainer, one of his lawyers, a retainer, paid him his retainer fee, and then gave him extra money that he asked for to go and pay off apparently Stormy Daniels, which is still up in the air whether or not that actually happened. That has not been proven that that Cohen's payment actually went to Stormy Daniels, because Stormy Daniels has retracted whether or not they've had sex before and whether or not an NDA is even real. They didn't produce the NDA.
And Cohen did admit in the trial that he stole from Trump.
I hate that I'm being forced to care about.
I know.
Stormy Daniels.
You shouldn't have to fucking care about it.
They didn't produce the NDA that he apparently was signed. And
shouldn't she get arrested for breaking that shit?
He owes him money in a civil case already.
Oh God!
She owes him money for losing this exact thing on the NDA in a civil case. It's so ridiculous. And the thing is, too, there needs to be a secondary crime. It's a misdemeanor in the state of New York, but there needs to be a secondary crime associated with it to raise it to a felony. And what was asserted by the judge is, you don't have to agree on what the secondary crime is as long as you find one being there. All of you can have different secondary crimes. And they unanimously, I guess, found it.
I hope like 5 years from now, we get the same shit, but it's like Kamala Harris and Johnny Sins. And I just want to see how it plays out.
All right. For the sake of everything, though, I don't want it to be Kamala because she's gross. Can it be AOC? Because at least I wouldn't mind seeing AOC naked.
Listen.
Did you see Goth AOC on Twitter?
My God. No. Listen.
She never actually dressed like that. It was
that could win her the presidency if she ran. Honestly.
Listen. AOC, obviously, objectively more attractive. But I'd be remiss if I didn't admit to some sort of hotness being associated with the fact this woman could shoot me in the leg and throw me in jail all in a matter of like 3 minutes. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, what did Thomas Sowell say? Was that a real quote where he's just like,
no, not about, he wasn't a real quote about socialist titties.
I mean, I could see Thomas Sowell
never said that.
I could see him saying it.
What did he say?
There's a fake Thomas Sowell quote that goes around, never trust them big old socialist titties.
They'll hypnotize your ass and then enslave you. That's the whole quote.
I'm more of an ass man. I'm safe.
Anna Paulina Luna over AOC.
Yes, I agree with that.
Absolutely. But David, you have a theory about hot people
I've said hot people shouldn't be in politics because they'll lie more easily than the ugly people, and people just follow them. Like they are ugly people are already lying left. Like fucking Mitch McConnell is getting away with everything for some reason.
Wow,
so hot people, hot people get away with more, and I don't like that.
So
that's fair.
So Rhetoriq, in your mind, is Trump going to be put behind bars? Do you think that, well, it came out today. They just actually suspended the Fani Willis one in Georgia. A judge suspended the trial that she's bringing up on Trump due to improprieties. So Fani Willis may be out soon. I don't know what's going on there. And then I guess there was the one other one in Florida that I don't know if it's going ahead or not. I think that one was delayed. The documents case was delayed till after the election. So I think right now it's only Alvin Bragg and the one that he just, there's 3 things coming on against him. And not one of them seem real.
I hope Trump does not go to jail from what I've been hearing so far. I do hope Trump and every other sitting president who's still alive goes to jail for war crimes and for thievery.
Good luck with that.
That is fair.
But yeah, this seems like theater. This seems like, I mean, again, I need to look more into it, but it really seems like theater to try to make Biden more appealing, which is, the dude's a corpse. Like, leave him alone. Like, he probably didn't know what he was getting into.
No.
Like,
Alex thinks he did. I think he's more of a corpse.
Nope. 100%.
Alex thinks he's more cognizant than he is.
He is more.
There's no amount of adrenochrome that man could be drinking each night to make him cognizant.
I firmly believe he goes out there and does his best Timmy from South Park impression on the mic, and then walks back into the Oval Office and goes, "You fucking people! You didn't give me the right thing here. What is wrong with you?
I'm not gonna lie. Your thoughts about this plays into their fucking stupid dark Brandon meme. Where they try to do the fucking punish Trump meme, and they're terrible with it.
But here's the thing.
He does a titty bump off Kamala's chest and smacks her in the face as he walks back.
Come here, Kamala. It's Kamala. Don't give a fuck. Come here, girl. You fucked your way to the top in Cali. Let's do it now in the Oval Office. Like, oh my God, we're gonna get sued for slander. Anyway. Now she's a public figure. I don't think they can, but they would try.
Depends on how bad it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's nothing that hasn't been said about her.
enough.
So with that being said, you're being a libertarian. You're also a realistic human, right? You know Chase has no chance in hell. He's going to affect something. RFK is going to be more effective in terms of being an issue for the major two parties, right? I think
an immediate issue, yes, but he has no base. He's a one-trick pony right now.
He is very much a one-trick pony. He's also a leftist liar. The guy has changed his positions. The guy is a politician through and through. RFK sucks. Any Republican that has drank any sort of Kool-Aid on this guy is a fucking moron. Any conservative that is like, he thinks he didn't like the COVID vaccine either, and he doesn't like the CIA. He's one of us. It's like, no, he's not. He's a climate crazy. He's an absolute leftist. Like, he's changed his policy on the borders 9 times. Like,
Republicans love the CIA. Okay, so that shouldn't matter.
Yes, Republicans do. Conservatives don't. Like, there's a difference.
I watched Homeland. Okay, I know what's happening.
You watched Homeland. Homeland's probably more. Those shows are probably much more true than we realize. Honestly, they probably like present them as theater, but they're much more true than we realize. But it is wild. So, do you think that right now, with everything going on and like all this stuff, does Trump have enough momentum to carry himself to the White House if this type of shit goes on?
Honestly, I don't know, because a lot of the shit he does, I think, is theater too. I mean, he lied about numbers at his like conventions or speeches.
Yeah.
And as much as I forget it, I think it was Larry who actually said it, but like the best endorsement for Trump is Biden and vice versa. So Trump, I think more people like Trump than like Biden.
Yeah.
But I also think more people hate and fear Trump than like Trump. So I don't know. By merit of, well, the libertarian in me wants to say I want Biden. If it's between those two, I want Biden because he'd be a corpse and we wouldn't have to worry about having a president at all. But the rational human in me, being choosing between a corpse as a world leader and someone who's not a corpse, I'd probably choose not the corpse.
Do you think the memory of what the economy was like pre-COVID is something that if Trump can kind of trigger people into remembering, like, hey, gas wasn't crazy. You weren't going and spending $300.
Unfortunately, yes.
Like,
that's part of the the problem.
There is something. Listen, you notice the difference once Biden announced the Keystone Pipeline was Fox. Speculation made things rise. It's not necessarily production, right? It's speculation that affects that. So the moment you're saying, hey, this pipeline shut down, now the speculators go, well, there's less supply. So now we have to raise the price. So there is a direct correlation with something like that. And also, Biden not wanting to spend to get our reserves back up because he knows it would raise prices, playing politics there. So Trump did do some things in terms of ending regulations to get more people to, bring jobs back to America. That was something he did.
Well, adding $8 trillion in debt.
It depends. Do you add the COVID stuff, which he was lending out a ton of money to states that needed it? So there's a difference. He spent money before. I'm not saying he didn't. But he flat out came and said, my theory is spend money, get us back in the green, and then make money. He wasn't shy about that. And people were down on him for that. But the man never said he wasn't going to spend money. That's been his philosophy. And I can get why people don't want that.
He said he was going to end the Fed, or at least audit the Fed. He said he's going to audit the Fed at least in 2016.
And I believe that's 100% down to shitty people he hired. Honestly, I think that is a big problem. That is a problem. If he hires shitty people again, then he deserves to fucking burn in a second.
So here's the thing. What you asked before about Chase winning being unrealistic, I am okay with sending a message. I want to give people a bit of hope who do not feel represented by the Democrats or Republicans at the moment. You do have a choice. And even though your third-party candidate, your Kennedys, your Steins, your Wests, your Chase Olivers, might not win this election, probably won't win this election. If we get enough votes for these types of people, the higher-ups are going to have to do one of two things. They're either going to have to ignore us and keep their oppressive tendencies up, or they're going to realize that we need more concessions as a society. Like, I mean, I don't know how far down the rabbit hole y'all want to go. I think most people can agree there are powers at play that are not elected officials. Even if you just look at all the bureaucrats in the country or the lifelong Congress people with no term limits, if they see enough people, they see 10 million, 20 million, 30 million people vote for Chase Oliver, they're going to see, oh, these people are serious. We really need to rein it back a little bit. So we might not get the utopia overnight with one election, but if we keep voting for the lesser of two evils, we're just digging more slowly. We're digging our hole more slowly as opposed to more quickly.
Here's my pitch to sane libertarians. Okay, here's my pitch. No, and I think this is one, and I've said this before, and I think this is what you guys should really do, if we're being quite honest. Number one, if voting third party gets us Joe Biden, that's partially your fault. Please don't do that. Honestly, please don't do that. That's number one, because he's a fucking psycho and he's bad. And if they get the full Congress, Senate, and House, it's disastrous. It really is. We got to do something with that. Number two, libertarians should be infiltrating the Republican Party. More like Rand does, more like Thomas Massey's doing. They should be infiltrating the Republican Party because they're too free to join the Democrats. They would have never survived. They'd be outed with, the fact that they're Second Amendment. They'd be like, haha, get out of here. So they should be infiltrating the Republican Party and change it from within. That is your best way, because the populist Republicans that are moving and trying to make a difference are much more simpatico with your level-headed libertarians, your Larry Sharps, your people like that. And that's where I feel libertarians will make the most effect. Less than trying to be the third-party spoiler and more of infiltration and changing the party from within.
That's interesting.
That's
worth considering. But do you think voting Donald Trump is going to accomplish that?
Yes. At this time, yes. Because I think at this point, with how bad Joe Biden is and how iffy the House and Congress is, and Senate is, you can't go down that road where we give the left, the crazy Democrats right now who are very progressive and socialist. It's not like there's any safeguards where they're pretending that they like America really anymore. They don't give a fuck. So that is very much, their masks are fully off. If there's a chance that that will happen, you cannot allow that to happen for pride. That can't be a thing for pride. Go local, win local, get your judges, get your sheriffs, get your there, affect your life there, your school board, statewide, go crazy. But federally, where the bomb could be fucking thrown, where they could tax the shit out of us to death, that can't be messed around with. Have your safeguards locally where you could defend against that. But I don't think right now, I get it. The hyperbole, this is the most important election ever, right? That's always there. But at the same time, there's a lot of ifs here. And the left has never been this far since Woodrow. And
far to the left.
Far to the left. And they were very mask on still then.
The far left doesn't like Biden, though.
But they accept him. He has the communist support. The Communist Party endorses him every time. So they're going to vote for him. And so that's my plea. Listen, libertarians, stay principled in a lot of ways. I get it. But if you guys don't want to live under the boot, there's no way you can allow Joe Biden to be president again. And because the down ticket matters. The down ticket matters. If Biden gets good in other areas, and that is effective, as polls come in early in the day, it affects people's votes later. All the time. That is proven. You cannot allow that to happen. Then the boot will be on your throat. And
it's just... I hear you. I'll think about it. It's just the things that flash in my head. You got tariffs, walls, crazy talk. Not that libertarians don't do crazy talk. That's our trademark. He's stealing from us at that point.
Here's the thing, too, that I also need people to think of. Do your research. Leftism has only left to millions dead. If we let this country get more left, there will be millions dead, period. Leftism always and only leads to millions dead. At least if you go far right, not everyone dies. You might be subjugated, but they give a shit about their subjects.
I wouldn't even
to keep them alive.
I wouldn't even say that.
He's a closet monarchist.
I wouldn't even say that.
But I'm just juxtaposing.
What the fuck is far right about Donald Trump?
Nothing. He's
like nothing's far right about Donald Trump. Richard Spencer doesn't want Donald Trump.
He's a 90s Democrat.
What the fuck? Like, come on, let's be real here.
So
all right. So let me ask you this: are you Hitler was a far right or far left kind of guy?
He's the right of the left. He's on the left. Fascism's the left movement.
I get the arguments for.
There is no argument. The people that started fascism were Giovanni Gentili and Benito Mussolini, who were socialists in Italy.
Well, but it wasn't just fascism. There was heavy nationalism, which in terms of social structure tends to be a right.
No, Bernie Sanders was a populist nationalist. Look, communism's nationalist.
Hold up.
Very much.
I'm sorry. What is a populist exactly?
Populist is someone that is a populist is someone that is trying to lean towards a popular consensus or create the popular consensus through like kind of like a jingoistic way. And that is
jingoistic,
like rah country, a lot national, like that is very much so.
Okay.
And communists very much share that, and obviously fascists very much share that. And so it's not necessarily we've conflated populism with rightism. And that's not true. There's populist left, there's populist right. There is both. And the issue is we've been taught that fascism is a right-leaning philosophy, and it's not. Nazism is not right-leaning. Hitler didn't hate the communists because they were communists. Hitler hated them because they didn't go far enough to the left. That is what Hitler believed if you read Mein Kampf and you read his things that he's written. I was a Nazi as a major, so that was my concentration in history. So
not gonna make the joke.
Shut up, Dave.
I was thinking. He did not just say.
I'm not. Yeah, I majored in Hitler. No,
oh god.
But no, yeah. So yeah, no. Fascism's left. It's far left.
That's okay. Well, I've never debated a major in Nazism about that before.
History, concentration, and Nazism. Okay, but that was a major focus.
Love the verbiage there. That's just.
But in the end, it is like, and that's the thing. The fact that people believe that Nazism is a far right movement is insane.
The socialism is what got me on the left-leaning area there, where I felt Nazism was a more left thing. But it is ultimately, I was just curious. I don't think it's either here nor there. It's I forgot what the actual point I'm trying to make was.
I'm an asshole. I just go on my side slants, and I just
that's okay. I need to work on staying more focused.
You're fine.
But the
he talks too much anyway.
Shut up, dude.
Alex did talk a lot. I remember that, and we love him for it. We love him for it.
These are the same debates that went on in your living room, just me yelling over everybody.
I know a few other yellers. So look, and you know what? If you like Trump and you think he's best for, if you're a libertarian watching and you like Trump and you like what Alex is saying, vote for Trump. What I would like to encourage everyone to do is to vote their conscience, because this voting against someone. So, and you touched on it a little yourself before about like, if you don't vote for Trump, Biden's going to take over and everything's going to be ruined. I don't like that. Everything keeps getting worse and worse. I feel like because of that line of thinking. And I get it. I mean, look, ultimately, it's like that South Park episode, choosing between a shit sandwich and a giant douche.
Yeah.
I think it was. And to some people, one is way worse than the other, and you definitely don't want to do that. But there is a middle path. There's a third path, an outlier. Don't vote for any of them. Don't eat a douche. Don't eat a turd sandwich. We could do it. Let's eat like 5 more turd sandwiches, and then we're out of it. You know, like.
Those that sit in the middle are also subjugated, though.
Not the middle, and that's the thing too. I don't consider myself a centrist, but I don't see it as a linear spectrum. I'm very into the quadrant.
You guys are certainly a spectrum in the Libertarian Party. I'll tell you that much.
we're on the bottom of the political compass, though.
That could be a shirt. Libertarianism. We're on the spectrum. No, but I do like it. Honestly, I like libertarians because libertarians are thoughtful, and for the most part, your non-leftist libertarians, right? Like your more sane libertarians are much more thoughtful. They're read out and they understand, and they also are more willing to engage in legitimate debate that will talk about their policies, that will talk about their beliefs, and the emotions are less involved with it. So I'll say that I do like those sane libertarians, and I consider you a sane libertarian.
Should I burst the bubble this close to end time?
Go for it. We're almost done. Burst it.
All right. I believe in all drugs being legal. I believe in sex work between consenting adults being legal. I don't believe in business restrictions. Someone should not have to get $1,000 permit to do nails.
I agree with that. Bureaucrats that know nothing about the business should not tell you you're good at your business.
Okay, there's that at least. Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of left. Like, consenting adults have the right to do whatever they want.
The thing with sex work, and that's the thing, and that's the difference between libertarianism and I think like your moral conservatism. If you have a religious background, you just believe that it's detrimental to the soul and to the health to be promiscuous, right? So I think that comes with a belief system. That is why moralism kind of puts you there. And you know, you just think it degrades the person, it degrades society. And
is it not?
There's issues with it.
Is it not detrimental to the soul to tell someone at gunpoint they cannot sin? They cannot.
But if you tell them that they can't, like if you tell them that it's wrong and that their soul's bad, I believe there's nothing wrong with telling them that.
Well, no, that's fine.
But I also believe that government also has a part of to like. Not to keep these people for their well-being, because the government doesn't know well-being, right? But they should have a say in what's right and what's wrong in a way in society, right? They like don't kill, don't do things like these women in sex work are not going by their body autonomy. They are being fucking pimped out. They're in situations where they're high out of their fucking minds. That is not true choice. That is not true consent. What we see with a lot of sex work. So the argument that's made in even like an OnlyFans is just fucking they're hookers, most of them. And I like some OnlyFans girls, but you know, I think some of them are cool people. No, not like that. But I don't go to any of their pages, but I think they're just like dope people. Like I don't have a problem with them, but at the same time, selling yourself for work is not a legitimate form of work to me. So I have 2 daughters. They would never fucking over my dead body. They would fucking sell their bodies for work. Fuck that.
It is your right to raise them with the more. I would not encourage my daughters to do sex work either. And again, I wouldn't force them to kill me to partake in it, but I would definitely try to steer them in another direction.
And also, you know, being a historian, every time sex becomes popular amongst a society, free sex, degradation occurs. And that society folds eventually because it becomes a very narcissistic. It becomes a very centristic and, you know, a very selfish society because they're seeking pleasure. They're not seeking betterment of other people or, you know, they're not thinking of others outside of themselves. So there is other things that go along with it. And if you're a government and that's part of what you're thinking, there is a reason why you would want to, you know, get that under control. Now, here's the thing. We do have to run. I'm going to give you the last word, Eric.
Yes.
Because you've been fan-fucking-tastic. I enjoyed this. I think we need to do this again. We're keeping David up far too late. He needs to go to bed.
So 3:30 and
thank you very much.
3:30. So
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Once again, Rheteriq, live streamer, Twitch. Go find him. You get the last word, Rheteriq, and I will shut the fuck up.
Okay. 3 big points here. 1, I am not the most learned man in the universe. I truly feel in my core and what little I do know of history and the human condition and the interactions I have on a daily basis. I do think I think happiness is the ultimate goal for everybody, and freedom is the best way to get there. We cannot legislate morality, and taxes are not gonna. Holding a gun to someone's head and telling them to give this person A and B all their money is not going to resolve poverty forevermore. We need to cultivate a society where we take it upon ourselves to be giving, to be humble, to be grateful, and to be good to one another. We'll never get there with government, whether it's on the right or the left. That is my philosophy. Also, if you think voting doesn't matter, trust me, there's at least a 2% chance it can make some positive change. If your vote has a 2% chance of helping us avoid a violent revolution or a crazy dictator, take it. It's worth it. You don't want to wind up killing your neighbor in 10 years because you're fighting over a scrap of food because you said, nah, voting's bullshit. It's worth a shot. Just give it a shot. If you're planning on not voting, go and vote, please. And if you do vote, vote your conscience. Don't vote against someone or something. Vote for someone or something that you love and hold dear. I'm pleading with you to do so. Thank you very much for having me on, Alex. I appreciate it. I'd love to come back on.
Thank you for
love
coming.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Great.
And David, too. Thank you.
Yes.
Yep. That was Rhetoriq. And I'll just add vote local. Vote local.
That'll
Please.
work.
That's it. Vote local. Anyway, once again, we're the Alex Buster
Local.
Show. We're going to let David go to bed. Go find us on, we appreciate everyone that watched on YouTube. We appreciate everyone that watched on X. We would love for you guys to subscribe, like, share, follow, all that above. Spread it word of mouth, biggest way. Definitely go find Rhetoriq on Twitch. As you could tell, he's a well thought out guy. You're going to hear this type of stuff. I think we might have gotten his juices flowing to go talk more politics. So I hope that he does that. And maybe one day I'll go invade his page on Twitch and we'll have a good time there. So we appreciate everybody for watching. We appreciate everyone that's going to listen on podcast form. And we'll be back next week with another fun show. Everyone, David, go to sleep. Rhetoriq, talk to you later. Bye.